Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to show you how I created these beautiful pendants. I saw this technique on Pouring Your Heart Out and Daniel Cooper's YouTube channels. They're very inspirational people, so head on over to their channels and subscribe, give them a thumbs up. They're very worth watching. I go back to their channels time and time again for inspiration. I'll be using the cabochon mould that I got from Amazon. So for this project I'm using Vista's Rapids, which is a good resin for doing this type of work with alcohol inks. I mix the resin for 10 minutes and then let it sit for 10 minutes to degas before pouring it in the mould. I only fill the shape about 2/3 to 3/4. That allows room for when you add the white resin and also for a backing afterwards. This will help with transfer of ink to skin, if you like. I'll explain a bit more about that later though. So let's go on with this bit just now. I found these be really useful disposable pipettes on Amazon. They're brilliant for taking out resin and making it to the level you want it or adding it in. So I always have these on hand. They're also really good for removing dust particles and troublesome bubbles. So for this one I'm using Let's Resin White Sea. Let's Resin Purple. Let's Resin Dark Magenta. And Let's Resin Sapphire Blue. Give your white a really good shake before adding it to your resin, and the look you're going for is skimmed milk for this bit. Always try and mix your resin slowly so that you don't incorporate too many bubbles. I'm going to add the inks now. I'll start with the blue on the bottom. Don't do too many at a time because the ink will start spreading and you don't want it to cover the whole surface before you start dropping the other colours in. Magenta in the middle of this one. And the purple at the top. If there's any gaps where you can see the resin, you can go back over and fill it in with one of the colours. They do look quite dark at this point and you don't really see the movement that's going on in them, but once we add the white in the next bit you'll see the colours and where they're sitting. Now for adding the white. I'm going to use my handy wee pipettes again. They're great, these wee things, they're so versatile, can use them for so many different things. So we'll just soak up some into the pipette and then use that, and you get a wee bit more control over where you can put your lines. So I'm just going to take that over, slowly pressing it and adding little lines, squiggles into each piece. Sometimes less is more. I like to leave a bit of space between each line so that there's movement and the colour can be seen through the white, because I feel sometimes if you add too much white it just crowds it. You can see as I'm adding the white where the colours are sitting, because it was so dark it was difficult for the camera to pick up, but as you add the white the colours are coming through. There's something 80s looking about it, isn't there? It's like neon 80s. Wouldn't it be so cool if they just stayed like this, but the resin continues to move and this won't stay like that? But that would be amazing if you could get that neon 80s look to stay. Maybe we should try it. Try and figure out a way of getting that to stay. So once I've put in the white, I'm going to let it sit for 30 minutes before taking a cocktail stick through and swirling. So in the meantime though, I'm going to make up some more resin and fill up the rest of this mould tray so that I can make earrings as well, but I'm going to do them slightly different because they're smaller, so I'll show you quickly how I do that as well once we've got this bit done. So now that 30 minutes are by, I'm going to take the cocktail stick and just swirl the surface. You don't want to go right down to the bottom because you might damage the bottom of your mould. So just try and keep a gentle swirl on the top. And I like to do lots of different patterns in it. It gives you lots of different effects. So just swirl away. Don't do too many swirls, you don't want it to be too busy, but just enough to make it pretty on the surface. And it's all a mystery because you don't really know what it's going to look like until you take them out of the mould after they've set, so it's exciting. Now while I was waiting on the 30 minutes to pass, I made up more resin and I've filled up the rest of that mould. So once I've done my swirling, we'll go on to adding the colours to them. I'm actually holding a piece of paper towel in my other hand and wiping the cocktail stick between each piece. By doing that, I'm not going to dirty up each piece from the one before. Almost there, a few more to do. Do the heart swirls to both sides. Now to do the wee ones. Now Now, you don't want to put as much ink in these ones because obviously there's not as much surface for the ink to flow over. So for some of them I might only use 2 colours instead of the 3. It's the same principle, fill in the gaps, but try not to overload them with too much ink. So I went ahead and filled in the rest with all my inks, and I'm just about to do the white. Now this is where it goes slightly different. I'll take you in a wee bit to see. I'm using a syringe for this one, just because I don't want as thick a string of white going in. So if you use something like a syringe, it gives you more control over the size of the drop that goes in, or the line that goes in. Just because they're so small, you don't want it to be overtaken with the white. Some of the even smaller ones that are quite shallow, I'll just put a couple of drops in. Once you put your cocktail stick in and swirl it about, that should give you some strings away from it, but I feel to put in a line would be far too much. Careful not to do what I've just done. I've got it right to the end of the syringe and it's added lots of bubbles. I'll go back and try and fix that one at the end. So this was a brand new mould from Amazon, and unfortunately this one teardrop shape had like a bubble trapped in the silicone, so I'm not going to use that. Obviously that would damage the surface of your, well, not damage, but it wouldn't give you a nice look on the surface of your pendant, and I'll probably never use that one, so I'm just going to score it out so that when I'm pouring I know not to put in that one. So I'm just going to tidy these up now and then set them aside to set for 24 hours before adding a back on them. So I'll see you in 24 hours. Bye for now. Welcome back. That's been 24 hours and now I'm going to do the back on these. I've made up some resin with mica powder and some of the alcohol ink to create a nice colour that will match the colour in the pendants. Now, the reason I put a back on my pendants, I touched on this slightly at the beginning of the video, is because in the past when I've made resin pendants with alcohol ink, the alcohol ink that's sitting on the surface can transfer to your skin and stain. Also can stain work surfaces if you leave them lying flat down. So I like to put a backing on just to prevent any ink that might be on the surface from transferring. I'm going to use my wee favourite pipettes again. As you can see, some of these are unevenly filled on the back here. I've got a bit more in some and not enough in others. So I'm just going to use my wee pipette to even them all out. So that's been 24 hours and these I've set up nicely now. So it's time to unmold them. This is the best bit. Ooh, exciting. What we got? Oh wow. Oh, that's absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. Isn't it pretty? This is the effect you get with a cloud pour, and I have to admit it's one of my favourite pours so far. Oh, excuse me, I have bad hands, I drop things all the time. So let's get the rest of them out this mould. Wow. The bigger ones have got more movement obviously, so they tend to be the prettier ones. Look how deep that purple is in that part. Oh my god, I love it. So I'm going to go ahead and take the rest of these out the mould and then we'll see them at the end. So now that I've got them all out, I've set them out in sets that I would like to make with earrings and a pendant to match, and now I'll go away and I'll add the findings and turn them into jewellery for wearing. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you like what you've seen then please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button and share it with all your friends and family that you think might like to watch a wee crafty video like this one. Every subscription and every like helps out my channel, so please, please, please do subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.